Out of Richland, where of course, selling your house is never easy, but for some people it can take years or months just to find the right buyer.
But what if that home came with some unwanted people already living there? So a woman is running into that problem, trying to sell a West Richland home and even lowering the asking price so the potential buyer can use the money saved to evict the people that are already living there.
Apple Valley News Now's Caleb Stipkovitz tries to get to the bottom of this bizarre story, but exactly who is on the right side of the law still seems to be a little murky.
Jill Dixon is trying to sell a home in West Richland that used to belong to her mother.
I moved back from Astoria, Oregon, and lived and took care of my mom full-time for 2 years. It was her house.
The home sits just off Bombing Range Road, and her original asking price was just over $437,000. But what seems like an ordinary home for sale is anything but. Apple Valley News Now was alerted to this social media post from Dixon, saying that she is now lowering the price by $37,000 because the potential buyer will need to spend money in order to get the current people living there evicted.
Basically, I'll probably walk away with no money out of this.
The problem is, the people living there happen to be members of Dixon's own family. They moved in shortly after Dixon's mother moved out, and now they won't leave the property. Dixon says the house belonged to her mother, who has since passed away. And as executor of her mother's estate, Dixon says she is to sell the property and divide it up amongst her siblings, and grandchildren. But getting people out of the home has been difficult.
I have spent over $70,000 on lawyer fees. What do? I was trying to sell the house as is, unseen, with the squatter.
Ariel Hayes owns Skyview Realty in Kennewick. She says cases like Dixon's, while unusual, do happen, even with complete strangers. But there are ways to protect your property when you are looking to buy or sell.
If you're a homeowner and let's say you don't live in the area, you want to be sure that you have a friend or a family member that's watching your property. If you are going to consider renting out your property, I do recommend that you consider professional property management.
Across the country, people are finding new ways to gain what is commonly called squatters' rights. This can include moving in while someone is on vacation or creating a fake lease agreement, which Hayes says can be confusing for law enforcement. Renters and buyers can also fall victim to squatters, who will sometimes pose as the owner of a home for sale or rent online. In Washington state, there are certain criteria that a so-called squatter must meet to continue living on a property they have taken possession of. In order to hear the other side of the story, we decided to pay a visit to Dixon's mother's property in West Richland. While it was apparent to us that people were home, they didn't want to talk. And in this case, it's unclear if the people are on the property illegally or legally. But Dixon is hoping any potential buyer will be able to afford the eviction of her family members. As for getting someone officially evicted, it's not as easy as just calling the police. Often, police can't get involved in cases like Dixon's.
That is a really tricky issue because the police are not legal experts. They're not there to judge the validity of the lease being real or not real. So, my best advice would be somebody's going to need to talk to an attorney.
Currently, the property is in pre-foreclosure and is set to be auctioned off in December. Dixon is hoping to find a buyer before then. Reporting in West Richland, Caleb Stipkovitz, Apple Valley News Now.
Thank you, Caleb. And we'll continue to keep you updated on this story, including if the people currently living in the home will want to tell their side of the story.
Yeah, be sure to stay with us on air and online at applevalleyNewsNow.com for the latest updates. He said it was murky, and that is.
Definitely
There's some muddy
murky.
water there.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what else he finds.
Yeah, exactly.